because everybody's different, everybody is in a different place, and some people react quicker than you expect them to. Sometimes people take a bit longer than you'd expect them to. But from my experience, I generally have a pretty good idea when I first see people on a discovery call of, can I help you? How long is this going to take? How complicated is it going to be? So I take a view of that pretty quickly. I do 30-minute discovery calls, free discovery calls with my client to really help get that understanding of, can I help them? How long is it going to take? And to manage their expectations appropriately. It also allows me to work out, do I need to build in anything else alongside the RTT? Any wider coaching, any wider advice, particularly around physical conditions, bringing in a whole body of experience to give really the right solution for that person who's presenting to me. Here are the kind of conditions, issues that I see that one session is often usually enough to get people where they want to get to. People who come to me for peak performance. So people who are high performers, who want to be better at something, maybe want to work on a very specific thing about focus, about consistency, about overcoming procrastination. People who are motivated, successful people who want to take things to the next level. This could be performers, it could be sports people, it could be business people, entrepreneurs. Very often I find people coming to me for those kind of things, those kind of people in those kind of roles, quite often they make huge progress from one session. And I really see them coming out the session, big difference, and after the 21-day RTT period, really, really strong results, very, very consistent. Similarly, people who want to come for things like public speaking. Maybe they're confident people but just have this issue, this fear of standing up in front of an audience. Again, one session, I am going to deal with that in just one session. Anxiety. Now, anxiety, of course, is a broad term, it's a broad spectrum of where you are on that level of anxiety. But I would say that people with moderate levels of anxiety, particularly if it's a reaction to events that have happened in their life, maybe a big life event. Again, quite often I can make huge progress with people in overcoming anxiety in one session, particularly, as I say, if it's that kind of life event. Confidence, really just raising a level of confidence for people, maybe people who've been knocked off course by a life event. Maybe they've had a redundancy, a divorce, a loss. Quite often one session is enough to get those people back on track, back on the horse, back on the wagon, really recapturing their natural, normal belief. 2 sessions. What do I typically need 2 sessions for? So deeper anxiety would typically need 2 sessions. So people who've been very anxious for most of their lives, I would expect to make good progress with them in one session, making them see and feel real improvements. But 2 sessions, quite often they need, particularly if this is very deep rooted, if it goes right back to childhood. And also if people are on a very high state of alert. Anxious people who are on a very high state of alert, who really struggle to sleep. I don't mean sleep badly, I mean people who struggle to sleep, who are always on guard, who are always on alert. People who are hyper vigilant. Really, those kind of people with anxiety do need 2 sessions. Physical issues. Now, physical issues, again, encompasses a broad range of things. So I find that people who come to me for things like muscular pain, stomach pains, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, those are things that quite often actually I can really make big progress, see these things go away or almost go away from one session. It does vary between people, but typically I would say those things are typically kind of 2 session issues, but again, very often with one. 3 sessions, we're really getting into complex physical issues. RTT can work really well for things like chronic fatigue. It can work really well for autoimmune disorders. But these things are quite complicated and can take quite a lot of shifting. So I'd always say to people coming with something like chronic fatigue or autoimmune disorders, whatever disorder, there's a number of them, I would say typically we're talking about 3 sessions. And also because the approach you need to take, quite often before you can treat these physical conditions, you first of all need to deal with people's anxiety. You need to deal with the underlying anxiety that is either causing or certainly sustaining or making worse these kind of physical anxiety related issues. So we need to work on the anxiety as the core and then move through to work on the physical condition itself. Depression. So people use the word depression interchangeably sometimes with low mood. So when I'm talking about depression, I am talking about people who are clinically depressed, people who are finding it hard to function in life, hard to get out of bed, hard to get dressed, hard to take care of themselves, not able to work, really lacking any kind of motivation in life. That is something that is more complex, and I would say that typically does require 3 sessions. Low mood, 1 to 2 sessions. You would be classed as low level depressed, but deep depression is much more complicated. It takes a lot to be able to get the mind to accept that it can move out of the position that it's in. So those are the conditions and how I would typically look at them when I'm advising people how many sessions I think that they will need with me.